Oh, good evening. Welcome to NAG. We're back again for more topics. Jock's come to talk about this topic on the show.
Evening, yours?
Is that the same hat you're wearing on the last show, mate?
No, it isn't.
Oh, it's a different one, is it?
It's a different one.
Fantastic. That's good.
A different shirt.
A different shirt too. You brought a couple of changes of clothes.
I did.
That's good. Rebecca, I see you've got your leather Tuscadero on.
Talking about cars.
Oh, talking about
Leather.
cars. The Fonz.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking about cars. And Jonesy, I see you've got your appropriate hat on for talking about cars.
I can't wait to drop some wheelies, mate. I can't wait to drop those wheelies.
A lifesaver.
Fantastic. And the voice is up there.
G'day boys, how are we all?
Very
Not
good,
a
mate.
boy.
You know a bit about cars, don't you?
Yeah, you put petrol in.
That's right.
about
So you're not a
the
connoisseur of cars?
Oh yeah, I do know a little bit.
Okay, because I did receive an SMS message. I didn't receive it. Obviously the people who put the show together received it to say that why don't we do a thing on cars and talk more about cars and what the best deals are and all this sort of stuff. And that's why we've brought. There you go, Gino. We've brought David Johnstone onto the show, who knows everything about everything. Is a know-it-all, and knows a bit about cars too. Isn't that right, David?
Smart ass.
I'll give it a go.
Dave will give it a go. You got your mic on, that's good. And that's a lovely, lovely top you're wearing too. If those shoulders were leather, I could send you a couple of bars where you'd get in free price, mate. Free charge. Cars. We're talking a little bit about cars because we've actually got some footage of David working on a car. David actually, from an enjoyment perspective, actually rebuilds motors and rebuilds cars.
It's a hobby.
It's a hobby.
Yep. Vehicle restoration.
It's an
Okay.
expensive hobby though, isn't it?
Oh, no, it can't. No, it doesn't have to be expensive. No.
No, you make money out of it, don't you?
I usually do, yeah. Yep.
So what do? You go and find some shit heap out in the middle of nowhere.
Usually accident damaged. Most of the cars I get involved with have been heavily damaged in accidents, and I pick them up from the auctions and rebuild them.
Okay.
It's called rebirthing.
Because I don't want viewers to turn off, especially our female viewers out there, because speaking about cars is a topic that a lot of female viewers. Rebecca, you interested in cars?
Yeah.
Yep, you are. Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
The female viewers that find not very interesting, but we're going to make this show extremely interesting because in the second half of the show, we're going to have a car washed and buffed by manpower. Okay, so we'll be looking forward to that, girls. We've got to look for that
Is that
footage.
Jamie Drury? Is he going to be there?
Oh, who's that? I don't know. Jamie Drew. Who is that, Jock?
He's one of the guys in Manpower.
I knew you'd know.
He
Used to be, that's right, he does gardening now.
Gardening.
Does the gardening show.
Oh, okay,
Does
fantastic.
he do it in his Manpower uniform?
I don't watch it.
That's right. Jock doesn't spend a lot of time watching gardening shows or manpower, although Jonesy does.
Well, why are they pushing the car?
What?
I don't know. Okay, so we're talking about cars. So you go and find these cars that are accident damaged, and have a look, viewers. Have a look at this footage here of David working on this engine. Now, this engine here is out of a Jaguar, is it?
Yep, it's 31 years old.
31-year-old.
We're doing an engine rebuild, a complete strip down and rebuild on it.
Okay, when with this stuff is available, viewers. If you want to buy any of this footage, David's got his own private collection of car footage there. Something special.
Angel.
What was that? David's got his own private collection of videotapes of car footage and videotapes of himself in his undies.
That would be exciting.
If you
Washing
want to see
cars
that,
and buffing them.
buffing up cars.
Boy. Where do you get the, if it's 31 years old, where do you get the engine from?
In the car. I buy the car. This particular car is 31-year-old. It's an XJ6, one of the first of the XJ6s.
Oh, yeah, I know those,
1970, 71. I bought this one in a paddock up in Inverell, New South Wales. It's been sitting there for 6 years. We towed it back down to my place and did a complete body restoration and engine restoration.
So, but parts for those sorts of cars,
Yep.
you can't go down the local
Still available.
Holden. They
Yeah.
are.
Still available.
You found an old
Yep.
paddock. It's an old bomb in a paddock.
That's exactly
Actually,
right.
that's something that I always see every time I go to a farm. There's always an old car there,
Yep.
broken down old car there,
Yep.
just waiting to be fixed.
That's
Yeah.
it.
But it'll never go. It's still always there.
Why is that? Why do farms have broken down cars?
Yeah.
Oh,
And they
I don't
didn't
know.
why do they do that?
Yeah.
Why do farms have broken down cars?
Yeah.
I know exactly why they do.
Why?
What happens is if you live on a farm, it means you probably have a lot more land than other people, and you find living on a farm, because I've heard this, Jock, that people when their cars are run out of reg and they can't get them roadworthy or whatever, these cars are still in good condition. It's just that they can't get them roadworthy, put them on the road, so they're looking to throw them away. And farmers, or someone with a farm say, well, I could use that, because I could stick horse manure in the back and I could. Right. So they end up accepting these cars, but the cars never ever last long because the farmers never look after them. So they just start having all these cars. I thought you'd find that very interesting.
It is, yeah. And then they just dump them there.
They dump them. They don't take them to the tip or anything.
Well, you've got to let land.
It costs money to take them to the tip and just leave it there.
And
there's one that rolled up now.
When did car restoration come in, Jock?
Oh,
You're the
that was-
historian?
Let me guess.
That was
1776.
back in 1776.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they
that-
had a
Shit, a lot
choice
happened in
whether
that year.
they build ships or cars, and unfortunately they went for ships.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
I thought it was horses.
But then they found that was getting too expensive, so then they decided to make cars.
Oh.
And
Okay.
yeah,
When was the first car invented, actually?
in 1776.
No, that was when car restoration was first discovered.
Oh, right. It was the year before 1776.
That's right.
And yeah, they
You're full
decided.
of shit, Jock, aren't you?
Really,
Really?
but they didn't have any wheels.
The cars had no wheels.
No wheels.
They had no wheels.
Then they invented the wheel.
But Flintstone had a car.
But did you see its wheels?
No.
They were rocks.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Okay.
They were rocks.
Okay.
I
All right.
remember that because
Fantastic.
the peddling of the feet.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I've seen
Flintstones.
that.
Meet the Flintstones.
Yeah, they had wooden car. They had the wooden engine with the wooden doors and the wooden wheels. They had a wooden engine.
A wooden
Wouldn't go.
engine. Wouldn't go. Oh, fantastic.
It's like the story
Oh,
about
it's
the wooden horse, a wooden ship.
Thank you very much for the voice. Good on you. Okay, so we sort of got off the track a bit there, David, talking about cars. So you find these cars, you just do it for enjoyment, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely, just a hobby.
A hobby horse.
Yep, and usually when I go to look at the car that might be next to be restored, I look at the market, see what's sort of popular, what's not. Usually go for sports cars, look at what sort of sports cars are popular at the time, or at what time I think I'm going to finish this car. I sort of have to guesstimate. Most of them take about 12 months to rebuild. And, like there's no point buying like a 77 Kingswood because there's tons of them available. But if you were to look at what was popular, like say VL Commodore turbos, they're very, very popular, and you get one at the right price. So you maybe spend $2,500 on one that needs a bit of body work, paint work, and maybe an engine rebuild. You'll be able to turn that over into $10,000 or $12,000 pretty easily.
That you can hot up as well. Like
No, I just
there'll be
pick the
certain
popular
cars
ones.
that you won't be able to hot up, like I don't know, Vauxhall or something. You wouldn't be able to hot it up. But
Yeah, well, I wouldn't find that a popular car either.
Yeah.
No, I'd probably look at something that would sell reasonably fast. I wouldn't
Right.
want to get stuck with it for a while.
And has
Yeah.
anyone famous bought any of your restored cars?
No, nobody
So
famous.
Lindsay Fox hasn't bought any?
No,
'cause he's got
although
a
I
lot,
go look
hasn't
at
he?
his cars.
Yeah, I've
Yes,
looked at his
they-
cars too.
Is it
I
something that
pinched
the
a
girls
spark
can...
plug actually from one of his
Did you?
cars.
Oh, spark plug.
Do you
eh?
want it?
Oh, great.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
right.
that's not bad.
Spark plug.
Excellent.
And the funny thing is, there's women out there looking at that going, oh, is that what a spark plug looks like? But is that something that the women can get involved in, the girls, in the restoring the cars, or is it mainly the blokes?
Well, I
I'll
think-
tell you what, you can tell me after we come back from the break. Don't go anywhere, viewers. We'll be back in a minute.
G'day viewers, it's Jonesy and we're up here at the Donnybrook farm, and guess what? Every farm has got a car that's broken down on it. I think you've just got to buy a car that's broken down and then put it on your farm, because it just happens.
Now I've got something interesting. A lot of people aren't aware of how to do this. We've got a car here that's recently been painted, not too long ago, probably a couple of months ago. The paint was done in acrylic and it's relatively hard, so we can start doing a bit of work on it. We need to do some work on this because there's a couple of runs in the paint, so relatively long runs. A little hard to see on the camera, but I'll try and point it out to you. We've got a run along the front skirt here of about 1 foot long, and I'm going to show you how you can fix that with a razor blade. It's very simple. Basically what you have to do is hold the razor blade at right angles to the run and try and scrape the top of it. What you're doing, the run's only about 3 or 4 millimeters wide. What you're looking for is to see the scratching of the razor blade on the neighbouring paint around the run. Once you see the scratch marks on the paint around on either side of the run, you know you've then got the run down flat enough where you can then hand cut the surface, and then you can run a buff over it and your run will be gone. You can see as I'm doing this, all you can see is the top of the run being knocked down. Okay, I've finished scraping that back. It's relatively smooth. There's definitely no signs of any runs there anymore. But obviously the paint's all nice and sort of flat and tacky looking. So the next stage is to cut it back with some very fine grade wet and dry sandpaper. This is called hand cutting or hand cutting and polishing. I'm going to use a 1500 grade wet paper. I'm going to use some water because it's wet and dry paper. A little bit of detergent in the water. That just helps keep the paper clean because obviously as we're cutting all this paint off it sits in the paper. A little bit of detergent helps keep the paper, extends the paper life a fair bit. I mean this quarter sheet of paper would do a quarter of the car easy. We're only doing a very small bit, but I'll still put the soap in and we'll start cutting. Okay, that's all rubbed back nice and flat now. There's no more runs. All the paint's even and level, which is good. What we're going to do now is polish that. Now you can polish by hand if it's a delicate situation. This isn't so delicate. Something like this corner would be delicate, pain in the bum really. But this area here we'll be able to hit with a buff. I like to stick to the lamb's wool bonnet or the lamb's wool buffing pad if I can. It cuts faster, cuts harder. I suppose if it was a real delicate job, you might consider the foam pad over the woolen bonnet. But down in an area like this, it doesn't really matter. We just got to make it shiny again. There are still some 1500 scratch marks there, so we'll be using some cutting compound. This cutting compound is good to remove scratches of 1500 deep or bigger, or smaller, I should say. So I'll be using some of this. Okay, let's give that a go. Okay, well as you can see that's all nice and shiny now, and all I'm going to do is apply some Carnarvon wax to it to seal the paint and the job will be done.
Thank you, Mr. Effects. And thank you, studio audience, for that thrilling applause. I was asking David a question before the break, which I can't remember. What was it?
Is this something that women can get involved with?
Is it something the girls can get involved with, restoring cars?
I think that you can get involved with anything as long as you're enthusiastic about it. If it happens to be cars, there's no reason why you can't get involved with that.
Well, why is it that more men are involved in restoring cars than women? Why aren't the women keen and fighting about the cars, Rebecca?
My expert opinion would be it's a testosterone thing.
Testosterone?
Yeah.
Okay.
And women are too busy, you know.
Gallivanting around, putting makeup on and looking for shoes.
Shopping.
Shoes,
Okay.
well, yeah, shoes, that's right, yeah.
Shoes are important.
Can you make
I mean,
money out of restoring and selling
Yeah, well,
cars?
like I was saying earlier, I sort of gauge the market, look at what's popular, what's unique, what's going to sell reasonably quickly, and usually target that car. At the moment, it's looking like the XJ6 that I'm restoring now is becoming more and more popular, and parts are slowly starting to become more and more expensive as they're becoming a preferred car to restore. So
Will
I
that
kind of
bump
bought
the
it in at
price
the
up?
right time, and I've bought all the parts that I needed, and now, just in the last 3 or 4 months, I've noticed probably a 10 or 15% increase of the price of parts alone.
What colour do you paint it? Do you paint it the original colour or
the
change
colour.
it?
The colour's interesting. I've done a couple of Jaguars now, and one of them I did was...
Jaguars?
Yep, I've done a couple of Jaguars now, and one of them was...
Bit hoity-toity, isn't he?
It is a bit hoity-toity.
One of them was blue, and it took months to sell it because it was blue, and everybody who rang up who wanted to know about the car asked, is it white?
Oh,
So the next
okay.
one I did was white, and it sold within a couple of weeks. And this
Was the original colour blue? I'm up here, by the way.
Why?
the original colour was lilac, which is a sort of a purpley blue, and I sort of brought it back up to a more of a sky blue. But either way, the market was calling for white, and that's because they're used in weddings and things like that.
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah.
Popular car for that.
We're just going to throw to some footage, another film clip from one of our viewers. So check this out. These film clips are marvellous. Viewers, keep sending them in. It's the website or the address is on the screen. Keep sending your film clips into us. We require them post haste. I've got some letters from viewers here. I don't know whether we need to go through any of these quickly. There's one here specifically targeted at you, the voice.
Yeah.
It says, "Hello, boys and Rebecca." So there you go. My name is Tracy, and I love your show. I'm especially in love with the voice.
Well, Tracy, if you'd like to email me, I'll certainly meet you somewhere.
He sounds sexy, and I was wondering if you could put his picture on the screen.
No, you wouldn't come out when
That's
you
right.
saw me.
We don't want to scare any of the viewers away, so we'll refrain from that.
I'm not an animal!
But we have got a picture of Tracy we're just going to put up on the screen there.
Tracy the trainer.
What do you think of that?
God, blimey, don't bother.
I think I've seen Tracy on a number of other shows before, but we do want to get over to police media and get their whole stint on cars.
We certainly
because there's a number of aspects with regards to cars. Cars getting stolen, engine numbers, rebirthing. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, when they
rebirth.
swap the body of a car and replate it.
Okay, but we are talking about cars. We have Senior Sergeant Quince. Is that right?
It's actually Inspector now.
Inspector Quince. That's good.
He's a fast mover.
Fantastic.
See what our show will do, viewers.
Viewers, we have Inspector Quince on the program. As you know, he's our resident police media liaison. We're talking about cars. Quince, Inspector Quince, what's your spin on the whole car deal? Do you guys, do the police find there's a lot of crime related and revolving around cars?
Yeah, there is, Mickey. Yeah, it's always a big industry in the crime circles. Cars are always going in and out of fashion, and that's reflected by the numbers of vehicles that are stolen in any given month or year.
Okay, and I've heard that a lot of the stolen cars, there's a lot of the big WOG rackets out there. With regard, some of the Valiants and purple cars around the place. Have you seen these things, Jock?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, you've got one.
All the dangly things along the window.
They've got all these.
Pom-poms, that's it.
That's right. These you've seen all these fluoros and that
the
you can
line
have.
in the back that goes on.
Yeah, the fluoros and all that sort of stuff
underneath the car.
and the blue lights. I see cars coming up behind with blue lights.
Got one of those.
Yeah.
I mean, is that legal to have they got bloody blue lights on the
No,
cars?
it's definitely illegal, Mickey. I'm glad you raised that point because there is going to be a big crackdown on these fluorescent lights that are seeming to be quite popular of late. I personally will not rest until I eliminate every vehicle out there of these fluoros. Very, very illegal and very dangerous.
A message out there to all the good WOGs. We're WOGs too, obviously, but I'm talking about the WOGs that have got the fluoros.
Can you ask me about the subbies, Dave?
As long as you can keep them.
Subbies.
Yeah,
The subwoofers.
Yeah.
Boom, boom,
And the
boom.
subbies, asking
Uh,
about
Yeah,
subbies.
why don't they
Well,
pick
why don't
them
you
up?
ask Inspector Quince yourself there, Jonesy?
Inspector?
He's
Yes,
not up
Jonesy.
there.
No, I thought he was up there, wasn't
Oh,
he?
no, he's not up there.
He's over there.
It's not. Well, we're speaking to a satellite, I think. I don't know what the hell's going on.
It's a satellite link. No,
I'm just losing you there.
I was just wondering,
We're right now.
just wondering about these subbies and these cars driving around with these thumping.
Yes, woofers, yeah, marvellous device. Yeah, quite often when we used to have the old divvy vans, the young constables used to deck them out in the velour on the walls and the subwoofers in the back, and it actually proved quite popular with the female sector of the police force, but obviously now we don't go for those now, it's just your straight out Commodores and Falcons.
Okay.
I'd like to ask a question. I've noticed as you've been doing these reports that you've got more relaxed. You're not wearing a tie. You haven't got your radio thing on to go, you know,
He's come
radio.
up in the
Yeah,
ranks.
that's actually more for the foot patrol, the guys walking the beat. As you know, I'm now an inspector and I don't
sorry.
need these direct communication. So.
Fantastic. Constable Quince, as always, it's a pleasure to speak to you. We
Not
look
at
forward
all.
to seeing you on the next episode. Inspector Quince, sorry.
Inspector, yeah.
Okay, so these fluoros and that, Jonesy, because I know that you know some people that have got those fluoros in their car. They're going to
Yes,
stamp them all out.
They got the blue fluoros underneath the car and inside the car.
You're going to dob in your daughter then?
No, I haven't got a daughter.
That's right. That's right.
I'm just Jonesy,
Jones.
a bum on the street. That's where they got me from, remember?
I'll tell you one of the hardest things to find, you're talking about restoring cars, is a good mechanic. It's just impossible to find a good mechanic. Scour the earth looking for a good mechanic. They all seem to
charge
rip
too
you
much,
off.
yeah.
Charge you
They
too
do.
much.
It costs a
and-
lot of money to kill
Yeah.
someone these days.
It
Yeah,
does,
that's right. I mean, you're from within the industry, or you know something about it.
No, what I do is purely a hobby. I do panel beating and I do mechanical repairs as a hobby, but when it comes to working on my everyday cars, I use a mechanic to do that.
Okay.
I don't do it myself because I haven't got the time for it.
But you know what you're looking for. When I send my car to the mechanic and get it back, I don't know what the hell they've done to it, but I know they charge me a lot.
You should
Yeah.
get current affair to put a camera in the bonnet
Yeah.
and just see what they do.
Well, I've
Not
used the
much.
same guy for about 10 years and we've built up a loyalty and trust there, I think, after 10 years. I don't feel that I'm getting ripped off.
Okay.
But I have heard some horror stories.
Yeah,
Like
for
he gets
sure.
upset if you go to another mechanic.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the horror story.
Yeah.
I tried that out once.
Okay. Is
It was bad.
it better to go to a big dealership or go and find a little guy?
I think the little guy, I've always supported small business and I think the little guy will go a bit further for his dollar, whereas the big people, it's just a job for them. They just turn up and knock off for their pay packet, whereas the little guy, he's out to impress so that you come back and you tell more people.
Okay, well, that's a tip, viewers, from the very, very
I
famous
think-
David Johnson.
I think that rule applies across the board.
Oh, that sounds like our cue. Thank you, Rebecca.
Oh, thank you.
Jock, Jonesy, David, we'll catch you next week on NAG.
Good moment to you all.
Jumping my car.